This is a Sorcerer in a Fireball build, doing a Pit. Nothing out of the ordinary until you realise that it is a Pit 150 in like 7 minutes. Hello, my fellow sorcerers, and well, today has seen our rise to greatness, let's say, because we have joined the Pit 150 Club with Necro, and we've done it faster. We've gone from arguably the worst class in the season to arguably the best in 24 hours. So you might be thinking, what the hell is going on? Well, as we know, a lot of the builds that have pushed the highest in the pit for Sorcerer involve burning, fireball, and using the Shatter key passive. For whatever reason, whether it's intended or not, the interaction of greater fireball and Shatter with some burning thrown in has been kind of ridiculous and essentially has been a way to sort of cheese high pit ranks by fishing for a Spirit Caller of Frost so that they bring in adds, you shatter up those adds, you build damage, they pop on the boss, and it's kind of how we've done. That's always been super, well, lame, because it's not fun to play, it doesn't work in, you know, the rest of the game, and it makes the class look a lot better than it is by having this artificially high pit clear. However, now it has been solved so that in order to make this ridiculousness happen, you literally just play a normal fireball build and bounce away, enjoying yourself and having a, you know, lovely, wonderful time. So what exactly is going on? And before we get into what exactly is going on, this build has hit for quadrillions. Like, over 1,000 trillion. By the way, like, that is a thing that has happened. Like, what? So, all credit then to Piece of Happy, and I hope that is the actual name because it's translated. This is a Korean creator that first showed the world this setup of Fireball with Shatter to make this happen. Since then, me and the other top Sorcs have had a little bit of a go at it, tinkered around, and come up with our versions, but I will link the original down below. But as I said, it's in Korean, so outside of this being a momentous occasion for the class that I care about and want to push and share with you guys every season, I feel like it's helpful to have, you know, a translated version of all of this for want of better phrasing. So while this isn't going to be a full and proper detailed build guide, because, you know, it's not my build, I do want to go over what's actually happening here so you guys can recreate it and have fun annihilating up to Pit 150. And the best part is, as I say, it's just a normal fireball build in how you play it. You just fire fireballs. You just do fireball things with Inferno, which means it's still wonderful, smooth, fun, and easy to play on the rest of Torment 4 in all other content. It kills bosses that are by themselves with no adds, because while the Shatter is, you know, doing a lot of damage, you're not completely relying on it in the way that the previous kind of cheesy stuff was. This is an absolute revelation. So what does it come down to? Well, strictly and chiefly one specific witch power, which means that this is limited to Season 7, it's not possible on Eternal, and it will go away in Season 8. But for now, let me introduce to you Decay Augmentation. You might have heard this crop up, it's kind of ridiculous. So, your witchcraft effects deal an additional 30% of their base damage over 5 seconds, and for us that damage is dealt as burning. So in order to really take advantage of this, we put in the Occult gem that makes Fireball a Eldritch power, so it counts as witchcraft. So then the Fireball hits for the multiple billions, etc. that it does. A good chunk of that damage becomes burning damage, now applied to the target. So now the Fireball is going to hit even harder because it does 10% of the burning damage you've applied as additional damage. So now it's hitting harder, it's applying even more burn from Decay Augmentation, which then makes it hit even harder, and you see where this kind of endless loop is going. We then weave that in to the usual shatteriness that we do have, and how that's always worked with burning, and we result in this absolutely stratospherically skyrocketing, scaling pops of damage that just go ridiculously. It's super smooth. It really does have the framework of just Fireball. All that has changed from a normal fireball build is that we use greater fireball instead of destructive, we put on Shatter as the key passive instead of enlightenment, and we use this witch power with a specific occult gem. Those 4 little things unlocked the door of our greatness, and is that not wonderful? Whether any of this is intended or not, again, still remains to be seen. Blizzard haven't said or done anything either way, so I have no idea really whether this is strictly abusing any kind of bug, or it's just simply, well, an overlooked, insane source of damage scaling. But who cares? Because you know what? It's time for Sorcerer to actually get some proper ridiculousness to its names, past the occasional blip like ball lightning in Season 2. So that's kind of basically where we're at, that's kind of basically how it works. So without further ado then, I will just go through the build very, very quickly so you two can put it together and make it happen. Skill tree then is thus your usual basics to move on, fill out your fireball, get your greater, and then your elemental dominance to continue on to defensives. Usual teleport, and we use teleport as our first enchantment just to give everything some proper mobility and to be the lightning to our Tal Rashes and Elementalist glyph and so on and so forth. We get ourselves Frost Nova because we want enemies to be frozen as much as possible. The Temper does it, but it's nice to be able to press it and guarantee that state for the Shatter, the 15% multiplicative more, etc. Ice Armor is nice to have, the extra damage it gives us, and because this does use Shaco and Shroud, we have so much comfortable health and cooldown reduction, which just makes everything even smoother and more comfortable too. We grab Familiar just for that 10% multiplicative and keep it out, some defensiveness in Mana Shield and Protection. I like the extra lucky hit, but you can put this truly anywhere else you want. Get the usual Inner Flames, Devouring Blaze, and then we get the usual triple ice buff, the elemental synergies, the more cooldown reduction from Evocation, fill out your Soulfire, fill out your Inferno, and then Supreme for that big damage. We will have a permanent Inferno up, which is great because that is vulnerable and, you know, a permanent huge damage boost. And then lastly, Shatter, which will just be going on in the background, doing these stupid high hits, one-shotting everything, and you don't even have to think about it or manage it or anything else like that. So there we are. The second enchantment slot is also Fireball, just to spread more fireballs to big clumps of high health stacked elites in higher pits. But if you're just doing kind of open world Torment 4 stuff, you can put on essentially any other enchantment and still be fine, but this works well. Gear-wise, again, standard Fireball. You want your Staff of Endless Rage with your Gloves of the Illuminator to do its thing. You want Tal Rashes. You want Ring of Starless Skies. You can replace Ring of Starless Skies with just a normal ring with good affixes. It's not like critically enabling, but of course it does make a huge difference. It's a powerful mythic unique. Then you want yourself a Shaco. You can put Godslayers on if you don't have it. The same how with False Death, you can put on Raiment of the Infinite if you don't have it, but these two are obviously a much bigger deal. We use Shaco because we want the cooldown reduction to help with the permanent Inferno, and it makes everything, again, just play nicer. Technically, you could put on Perdition and just have the build play slower, but this seems to be working out the best. Then, for your kind of regular aspects, you want some legs with Orange Herald, so we can guarantee that permanent Inferno. And then on your amulet, you want Conceited, because there's some funky scaling going on with that too, but 3 curses is also fine as well. Then that just really leaves the boots. Now, technically you can just use a normal pair of boots, put something like Daze on it, and get some more intelligence. The attacks reduce evade cooldown, so you can teleport more, but they're not like kind of critical, so I feel like you can either just put Rakenov's Wake on for the more all resist to make that comfortable, the extra cooldown reduction is nice, or honestly, just use your Esu's Heirloom. We want 100% crit, ideally in the build, just for even more consistent fireball damage to multiply into everything else, so this gives us a nice source of that. Like, a normal pair of boots isn't, like, super, like, key to anything. It does let us put in an extra defensive aspect if we put Orange Herald on the boots and then a defensive aspect on the legs, which can be needed if you are super high pit pushing, because the build can end up being a little bit squishy. We have a lot of health, but raw DR-wise may need some help, but if you're just doing open worldy stuff, honestly, I think Essu's Heirloom is absolutely great here. But any of these three and you're going to be absolutely fine. Affixes wise, you want the usual armor, life, intelligence on your legs. On your boots, you want movement speed, intelligence, and life if you do have normal boots. And on your amulet, you want intelligence, inner flames, and permafrost ideally, but any pair of offensively helpful passive skills is going to do you well. Gems wise, you want crit in your weapon, you want intelligence in your helmet, and then runes, you want cast a skill with a cooldown to make more frost novas happen for more consistent freezing, and then you want neo cracks, so you can get the souped up fireballs go out for even more burning, and avoiding damage while fighting is going to be pretty consistent because everything is going to be frozen and you've got so much barrier that this will go off really, really nicely. Then for how to play it, as I said, you just play it like normal fireball. You use Inferno on cooldown, you use your ice armor on cooldown, you make sure you always have a familiar up for the extra damage, you use your flame shield whenever you need to be immune to something, and then you use your frost nova whenever there's a nice big group of enemies clumped in front of you. Now, I'm not doing ridiculous damage here because again, I don't have the required occult gem to actually make this happen. Currently, my fireball isn't applying decay augmentation because I don't have the occult gem to make it do that, which is why I can't show you the build personally without farming like a lot of fragments and rots and heads to the point that I'd be with you in 3 days, which doesn't really help anyone. Which powers then? We have Doom Orb in. You want Breath of the Coven just to get that lovely attack speed multiplying up. Then you want Soul Harvest because although it's bugged, it's still fantastic and eventually won't be bugged. Then we get Purging Touch just to amp our Eldritch effects, which of course will be our fireball with the right occult gem. Then Aura of Siphoning. I have for a growth and decay powers, so I can activate the occult gem to give you more intelligence, but you don't strictly need to do this. This could be something like Shaken Soul to help with vulnerable uptime, but I've just not found that it's needed, so this gives you a better gem option. And then lastly, decay augmentation, which just makes it all happen. Occult gems then, this is very important, okay? If you do not have Witching Hour, this will not work. This is what makes your next core skill count as Eldritch, so therefore it'll apply Decay Augmentation Burn. This is what I don't have. I'd need like 300,000 gem fragments, I would need 5 occult heads, and 5,000 rot that I don't have. But this is what you need to be able to this have work. To be able to this have work? What an incredible sentence. Witching Hour. After that, I would recommend your Friend of the Bog for your primary core stat. And then lastly, you want to amp up your witch powers so you can get more decay augmentation by using Toadling's Wish. Tempers wise, on your legs, you want % total armor and chance to freeze. Very specifically chance to freeze. You need that. You need consistent freezes going out. On your amulet then, you want critical strike damage, pyro critical strike damage, pyro attack speed, and then inferno cooldown. If you do have normal boots, again, chance to freeze is the main one. The other one, just evade cooldown, is completely fine. When you are masterworking, hit ranks to things everywhere, attack speed everywhere is good, cooldown reduction everywhere is good. Mercenaries, the usual Subo setup to get more critical damage, and then a defensive Rahir coming in with Bastion. Paragon, then, I'll go over this fairly quicker than normal, because let's be honest, it's kind of standard by this point. If you have less points than me, just get rid of the extra optional stuff like this here that doesn't matter, but other than that, let us go. Always get all of the rare nodes that you have seen that I've gotten to, as they're all very important. Get to your first glyph slot, put in destruction, and then max it out with all the decks around the place. We go into our next board, which is Fundamental Release, to the glyph slot where we put in Pyromaniac and get that activated. Make sure to grab Fundamental Release itself, and again, all of the rare nodes on the board. Then we head right into Frigid Fate, like so, and along the way, the glyph Elementalist is put in and activated. Grab the extra optional rare nodes and magic nodes that increase damage or damage reduction everywhere that you can, and then we go round and actually grab Frigid Fate. If I get more points, I will next be going for this lucky hit chance here, but for now, up and left for more damage reduction, that's the kind of stuff you want. Then we are going to head left past Electromagnetism into Searing Heat. This is very, very nice to have, and then we initially go up to Explosive, put in Tactician, and then Flame Touch 2, via Combustion to the legendary node itself in Searing Heat. Then we head north past Fundamental Release, again grabbing the rare nodes, into Icefall for that huge increase of damage to bosses. We want to arrange like so, and then we initially go up left to this Polar Rime cluster, going round to Icefall itself, and then up and right past Frost in order to get to slot and activate Exploit, and then we amp that up with all of the decks that we can in the area. So that's your general Paragon for this setup. And there we have it, guys. A very quick and dirty what's going on, why is Sorc suddenly a pick 150 clearer, and it's kind of shockingly elegant, really. A very small interaction between a very small group of powers that just work beautifully well together. Enjoy it, savor it, but I still hope this and every other easy pit 150 smashing build does get looked at for next season. It would be nice to have some balance and some aspirational content, you know? Let me know what you think, like if you enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more, consider supporting the future channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.